What we want to do tonight is a short teaching on this offering called the 100 Torma offerings.
Jadi malam ini kita akan mengadakan pengajaran yang singkat mengenai sebuah praktik persembahan yang disebut persembahan 100 torma.
Torma in Sanskrit is Bali.
Jadi kalau dalam bahasa Sanskrit Bali. Jadi torma itu bahasa Tibet dari barley ya. Bali itu apa sih bahasa Indonesia?
No. In Sanskrit it's called Bali. That's all.
Bali. Oh.
In Sanskrit it's called Bali.
Oh, dalam bahasa Sanskerta namanya Bali.
So Bali offerings in India in the past mostly actually is referring to like animal sacrifice.
Jadi Bali itu dalam bahasa Sanskerta dulunya itu mengacu pada persembahan yang membunuh hewan.
But of course, in the Buddhist practice, Buddha changed that, you know. And instead of doing animal sacrifice, which some Indian traditions they do animal sacrifice, sometimes for the goddess. Usually it's for goddess, because they say the goddess has a lot of heat, and you have to give blood to the goddess to cool down the goddess.
Jadi di India sebenarnya ajaran Buddha masuk dan Buddha kemudian mengubah praktik persembahan dengan menggunakan hewan yang dibunuh. Ya, jadi dan sampai sekarang masih banyak orang Hindu yang mempraktekkan persembahan dengan membunuh hewan yang dipersembahkan kepada para dewa. Tapi sebagian besar dipersembahkan kepada para dewi. Kenapa? Karena para dewi itu menurut orang Hindu mempunyai banyak hawa panas, sehingga mempersembahkan darah itu bakal membuat mereka sedikit lebih dingin.
So especially offerings to Kali.
Ya. Dan terutama persembahan kepada Dewi Kali.
Then also blood offerings are given to like spirits.
Dan juga persembahan dengan darah hewan ini dipersembahkan kepada para roh-roh,
ghosts,
hantu-hantu,
so that you can have them do things for you.
Di mana kamu jadinya bisa memerintah mereka untuk melakukan sesuatu untuk kita, untuk kamu.
So of course, in the Buddhist tradition, we don't accept, this animal sacrifice.
Tentu saja dalam ajaran Buddha kita tidak bisa menerima persembahan dengan membunuh hewan.
Not only is it not helpful, but in fact it will create a lot of negative karma, killing animals for religious purposes.
Tidak hanya karena itu tidak berguna, tapi juga itu kita menciptakan karma yang negatif karena kita membunuh makhluk hidup.
So here this practice is called 100 Torma offerings, mainly because in this practice there are 10 groups of beings that you make offerings to, and for each group you have 10 tormas. So altogether you have 100.
Kenapa disebut persembahan 100 torma? Karena nanti pada saat kita melakukan persembahan, kita akan mengundang 10 kelompok tamu, dan untuk masing-masing tamu diberikan 10 torma. Jadi 10 torma untuk 10 grup tamu, jadi 100 torma.
And if done really traditional, each of these Bali or torma is basically like a little pill, like the Chinese for the no, like the like the rice, sticky rice.
Oh yeah. Bukan.
No, for like tangyuan.
Ini apa? Ronde.
Yeah, it's about that size also, So then they will prepare 10, out of roasted barley, which is the main food that Tibetan people eat. So the idea is the main food that you eat is what you offer. So 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. You know.
Jadi kalau dilakukan dengan cara yang sangat tradisional, maka kita menggunakan makanan pokok yang kita biasa makan. Nah, orang Tibet kan makannya adalah tepung barley. Nah, tepung barley itu kemudian dibikin adonan yang bulat-bulat kayak onde, ya, dan jadinya disiapin 10 sampai 100 totalnya.
Actually, in some other lineage in Tibetan Buddhism, they actually have 10 plates, and they put 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. In Drigung Kagyu, our lineage, we just use 1 plate.
Nah, kalau dalam sisilah yang lain, sekolah yang lain, biasanya mereka menyiapkan memang ada 10 piring, dan masing-masing piring itu diisi 10. Tapi kalau di Drigung Kagyu, kita hanya pakai 1 piring saja.
And also these days, people don't generally make those 10 pills, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Instead, some people use like raw even rice. I know some Rinpoches in the US, they use sago, you know, things like that, like tapioca balls. Here, what I use is basically cereal and pop rice. Indians, you know, they eat a lot of this snack pop rice, so you can easily buy from Indian store. At least in Malaysia, even in US, I can get these pop rice. You know, so I use pop rice. Then I also mix like some of these cereal, different colors, like that are round. You know, then it's convenient. You know, every day you're going to use. It's practical, and also I try to do every day. So even when I travel. So I have a box like this. Then there is the set, you know, this water offering set. So it's convenient.
Ya. Jadi Oke. Nah, kalau tradisional kan begitu ya, bulat-bulat gitu. Tapi zaman sekarang kita, apalagi kalau kita mau seperti Rinpoche melakukan ini tiap hari sambil berpergian juga, kan susah kalau kita tiap hari harus bikin adonan tepung yang bulat-bulat begitu kan. Jadi sekarang Rinpoche lebih memilih memakai yang gampang. Di US bahkan ada beberapa Rinpoche yang lain itu memakai tepung sagu dan juga tepung tapioka, ya, tepung terigu gitu ya. Nah, tapi Rinpoche sendiri memilih memakai beras instan. Di India atau di Malaysia banyak dijual, di US juga, di sini mungkin juga ya. Jadi kita bisa pakai beras instan. Rinpoche sendiri ada box yang bisa dibawa traveling, jadi gampang. Diisi sereal, diisi beras instan, jadi digabung. Serealnya agak bulat-bulat, pakai warna-warni.
Alan, you said use what?
Oh,
In
pilus.
Indonesia?
Pilus, ya.
Pilus, ya.
Yeah, so you can use that, you know.
Pokoknya yang bulat-bulat gitu, pilus.
Yeah.
Pilus. Makanan orang saya.
That is more like snack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, actually, so this practice comes from one sutra. So in the sutra, it actually says use 7 grains of rice. Yeah, in the sutra. So then when this sutra went to Tibet, because they don't eat rice so much, they eat again roasted barley, champa, the flour. So they make that tradition. But in India, it says you just use 7 grains of rice and 7 drops of water, actually, according to the original sutra. So this is acceptable, you know, like using cereal, you know, instead of the round champa balls.
Tapi latihan persembahan satu salma ini bersumber dalam satu sutra yang disabdakan Sang Buddha, dan di situ bahkan Buddha hanya menyuruh untuk menggunakan 7 bulir beras dan 7 tetes air. Tapi begitu ini sampai ke Tibet, kan orang Tibet tidak
7 kind of rice.
No, 7
grains. 7 bulir.
Yeah, just 7 grains of rice. Yeah.
7 bulir beras dan 7 tetes air. Tapi begitu sampai ke Tibet, orang Tibet kan nggak makan beras, susah tanam padi di sana. Jadi mereka menggunakan tepung barley yang mereka bikin jadi kayak adonan yang mereka biasa makan setiap hari. Jadi adalah sangat bisa diterima untuk berlatih menggunakan sereal.
In Chinese Buddhist monasteries, they do sort of this ritual, but very, very different. But it's based on the same sutra. They do every evening. they call it Mengshan Shishi. Mengshan, like the name after this one place. Mengshan food offering ritual. So Chinese monastery, they do this. So they have this one thing that looks like a begging bowl. Then the top is like a vase, then filled with water. Then they put 7 grains of rice. Then they just pour water into this little bowl. Then they chant, different chanting, different mantras, many different mantras. This ritual in Chinese Buddhism takes about 20 minutes. And all monasteries do it every evening.
Dalam tradisi Buddhism di Cina, mereka juga menggunakan dasar sutra yang sama dan juga melakukan persembahan yang serupa dengan ini, tapi dengan cara yang sangat berbeda. Tapi dasar sutranya sama, di mana mereka menggunakan mangkuk patah yang kecil, kemudian di situ diisi 7 bulir beras, dan mereka kemudian masukin air dan mereka kemudian selama itu mereka membaca doa dan mantra, dan itu membutuhkan waktu sekitar 20 menit dan dilakukannya pada malam hari. Dan biasanya semua biara Buddhism di Cina itu melakukan hal ini.
And they do it in the evening. And for them, it's offered to hungry ghosts.
Dan untuk mereka hanya melakukan ini di malam hari dan terutama diberikan kepada hantu kelaparan.
As the sun is setting.
Atau saat matahari sudah mulai terbenam.
So 4 or 5 o'clock, most Chinese monasteries do it that time.
Jam 4, jam 5 saat matahari terbenam.
Then this pouring of water, I think is some old Indian tradition. So even in Theravada countries, when they do dedication of merit, they pour water. Yeah.
Jadi tradisi untuk mempersembahkan dengan menuang air itu seperti tradisi yang umum di India ya. Bahkan kalau Anda lihat sekarang di tradisi Theravada, saat mereka mulai melakukan pelimpahan jasa, mereka biasanya menuangkan air.
To this day, Indian people, when they make offerings to their ancestors, they go to River Ganga and they also pour water in the River Ganga.
Dan di India sampai sekarang, kalau orang ingin melakukan pelimpahan jasa kepada leluhurnya, mereka biasanya pergi ke Sungai Gangga dan mereka mempersembahkan air Sungai Gangga.
So you can see in different traditions involving water and food.
Dan Anda bisa melihat sekarang di berbagai tradisi yang berbeda, banyak sekali praktek yang kurang lebih mirip-mirip, yaitu melibatkan persembahan air dan juga mempersembahkan makanan.
So the original sutra, let me tell the story from that sutra.
Ya, sekarang saya akan menjelaskan dulu apa isi sutra yang menjadi landasan dari latihan.
So it said that when the Buddha was teaching some monks somewhere else, some evening, one of the monks was not there. Instead, he was meditating alone in the forest. In the Chinese translation, they say this monk was Ananda. But in the Tibetan translation, they say this monk was Nanda. Nanda and Ananda are two different people. So, but somehow, some confusion or something. This one say Ananda, this one say Nanda.
Jadi di sutra itu diceritakan saat Buddha mengajar, tidak di malam hari, tidak semua murid-murid biksunya itu hadir. Beberapa biksu memilih untuk kemudian berlatih di gua-gua di mana mereka berlatih sendiri. Nah, salah satu biksu yang berlatih sendiri di gua-gua itu, kalau di sutra yang India itu disebutnya, sutra yang Cina disebutnya Ananda. Tapi di sutra Tibet disebutnya Nanda. Padahal Ananda dan Nanda meskipun namanya mirip, tapi dua orang yang berbeda.
Ananda was the Buddha's cousin, and Nanda also cousin. But Ananda was his closest disciple.
Ananda dan Nanda sama-sama sepupu dari Sang Buddha, dan sama-sama menjadi murid Sang Buddha, tapi Ananda itu menjadi murid yang lebih dekat dengan Sang Buddha.
So anyway, whether Nanda or Ananda, so this monk was meditating in the forest, and then suddenly one very scary being turned up, and it says that it looks really ugly, very thin, but his face, fire is coming out of his mouth.
Jadi suatu ketika, entah biksu ini namanya Ananda atau Nanda, terserah lah ya. Pokoknya dia bermeditasi di hutan sendirian. Kemudian saat dia bermeditasi, kemudian tiba-tiba ada makhluk hantu yang wajahnya sangat jelek, mengerikan, datang kurus banget, tapi wajahnya itu sangat mengerikan, dan dari mulutnya itu nyembur api.
Then he said to the monk, he said, "You, in 7 days you will die. And when you die, you will be reborn in the hungry ghost realm and become exactly like me."
Dan si hantu itu bilang kemudian ke biksu ini, "Hei kamu 7 hari lagi kamu akan meninggal, dan pada saat kamu meninggal kamu akan reinkarnasi di alam hantu kelaparan. Dan di alam hantu kelaparan itu kamu akan menjadi seperti saya, dengan rupa seperti saya."
So this monk was really terrified, and the monk said, what can I do, to prevent this? Like, is there any way, is it sure that I will die in 7 days and be born, And the ghost said, yes, there is something you can do to prevent this. And that's why I'm coming to you.
Dan kemudian si biksu ini kemudian sangat ketakutan, kaget ya. Dia bertanya kepada si hantu, "Ini yang benar nih, gue bisa nggak menghindari ini semua, gimana caranya?" Terus si hantu bilang, "Iya, kamu bisa menghindarinya. Oleh karena itu sekarang saya mau menampakkan diri di depan kamu sekarang."
He said, if tomorrow, or in any case, before the 7 days is over, if you can make offerings to as many hungry ghosts as there are sands in the Ganga River, and each of them one Magadha size pot of food and drink, then you can avoid dying in 7 days and be born as a hungry ghost. Magadha is this country, this area. So different kingdom, they have different measurements. So this is a measurement system. It's Magadha size pot.
Jadi si hantu bilang gini, "Kamu kan akan mati 7 hari lagi. Nah, cara mencegahnya adalah kalau besok atau dalam 7 hari ini sebelum kamu mati, kamu bisa mempersembahkan persembahan makanan kepada semua hantu kelaparan yang jumlahnya sebanyak pasir Sungai Gangga, dan masing-masing hantu kelaparan itu mendapatkan satu porsi makan yang ukurannya satu skala ukuran yang namanya 1 Magadha. Maka kamu, dan itu berhasil dimakan si hantu itu, maka kamu akan bisa terhindar dari mati dalam 7 hari, dan kamu tidak akan terlahir sebagai hantu kelaparan.
There is some slight difference between the Chinese translation and the Tibetan translation. Yeah, the Chinese translation said, offer to the hungry ghosts. The Tibetan translation say, offer to Brahmins, to rishis. These are like Hindu, saints. Yeah. Religious people, Brahmins, rishis, and the 3 jewels. As many grains of Ganga river. And then dedicate that merit to me, to that burning face.
Yeah.
Then you will avoid dying in 7 days. And then when you dedicate the merit to me, I will also be born out of this realm. And so that's the Tibetan translation.
Yeah. Ada perbedaan sutra versi Cina dan versi Tibet. Kalau di sutra versi Cina mempersembahkannya kepada serat itu ya, hantu-hantu kelaparan yang jumlahnya tak terbatas seperti pasir Sungai Gangga. Tapi kalau seandainya di terjemahan yang Tibet dikatakan kamu mempersembahkannya kepada para Brahmans, para resi, para orang-orang suci di India, dan juga kepada 3 Triratna, dan kemudian kamu mempersembahkan itu dan dedikasikan karma baiknya kepada saya, maka kamu akan bisa terhindar dari lahir di alam peta.
Anyway, sounds like there is a solution, except the problem of how do you feed
Iya.
that many within the next 7 days. So then the monk went to see the Buddha.
Ya, jadi kan berarti ada solusinya nih, ngasih makan kan. Ngasih makan ya, siapapun itu yang kita mau kasih makan. Tapi sekarang permasalahannya adalah bagaimana cara ngasih makannya. Akhirnya biksu ini bingung dan datang kepada Buddha.
So he went to the Buddha. He said, even if I want to do this, I have no power to give that much food to the Brahmins, to the Rishis, and to the Pretas, and the hungry ghosts, and to the three jewels. And the Buddha says, actually, I have a special method that you can use.
Dan si biksu mengatakan kepada sang Buddha, saya nggak punya kekuatan untuk bisa ngasih makan segitu banyak hantu kaparan, segitu banyak resi, Brahman, juga persembahan kepada Triratna. Apa yang harus saya punya satu metode yang nggak bisa lakukan.
So he said, the Buddha says, many kalpas ago, in a previous lifetime, I was a Brahmin priest. And at that time, I learned this from a Buddha. Then the Buddha, he said some name. And also he said, I learned this from Avalokiteshvara. The great Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara taught me this. And then this Buddha also taught me this. So I used this method. And as a result of using this method, I accumulated a great amount of merit that quickly kind of made me advance on the path to Buddhahood, like very fast, because I was able to accumulate so much merit using this method.
Dan Buddha Sakyamuni mengatakan, saya punya satu cara bagaimana caranya ngasih makan mereka segitu banyak. Dan metode ini saya dapatkan waktu dulu pada saat saya terlahir sebagai Brahmana. Dan saat saya sebagai Brahmana itu, saya kemudian belajar dari Buddha di waktu itu, yang namanya Buddha yang lain. Dan juga saya belajar dari Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara yang mengajarkan kepada saya metode ini. Dan dengan metode ini kemudian saya bisa memperbanyak karma baik yang saya akumulasi, sehingga akhirnya jalur saya menuju pencerahan semakin cepat.
So the Buddha says, so it involves chanting this mantra, this dharani. And if you chant this, he says, every morning, before you make offerings to the three jewels, all the offerings that you make will multiply into as many as the sands of Ganga.
Jadi Buddha mengatakan ada satu mantra atau dharani yang jika kamu mengucapkan dharani ini sebelum kamu mempersembahkan persembahan kepada Triratna, maka persembahan ini maka mantra ini akan membuat persembahan ini kemudian berlipat kali ganda menjadi tak terhingga seperti banyaknya pasir di sungai Ganga.
And that is for offering to the three jewels.
Itu adalah untuk persembahan kepada Triratna.
So that means, in fact, according to this sutra, as you make offerings like every morning, you pour the water or whatever offerings you made on the shrine, if you chant this mantra, then it will multiply.
Jadi kalau seandainya Anda nanti setiap pagi mempersembahkan persembahan kepada Triratna, maka kalau Anda mengucapkan mantra ini, maka persembahan ini akan berlipat kali ganda.
Then Buddha says also, if you want to feed hungry ghosts, as many as River Ganga, the Magadha size, then all you have to do is, it says, get a clean container, put water in there, put a little bit of food, he says. In the Tibetan translation, it doesn't say, 7 grains of rice. It says you put a little bit of food, whatever it is, like maybe some grains, like barley or rice, or you can put like some cake and put water in it. And then you chant this mantra 7 times, and you repeat the name of 4 Buddhas. Then you take this and you go outside and you pour on the ground somewhere clean, then all these hungry ghosts will receive this infinite amount.
Dan caranya juga adalah, itu cara untuk Tiratna. Tapi kalau untuk hantu kelaparan, kurang lebih mantranya sama, tapi caranya berbeda, yaitu kamu siapkan tempat yang bersih, kemudian isi air, kemudian taruh makanan. Nah, di terjemahan Tibet tidak disebutkan 7 bulir beras, tapi disebutkan hanya makanan saja di situ. Kemudian kemudian chanting mantranya, kemudian dibuang ke tempat yang bersih juga, maka hungry ghost ini juga bisa akan menerima persembahan itu.
As you do that, you have to think, this is I dedicate to all the hungry ghosts to free them from hunger.
Dan saat Anda melakukan persembahan itu, Anda harus mikirin, oh ini saya lakukan buat para hantu kelaparan, sehingga mereka bebas dari kelaparan. Dan ya, seperti itu.
Then he says, if you want to offer to the Brahmin and the Rishis, clearly here it's not like human Brahmin or Rishis. It's like the spirits of the Brahmins and the Rishis. So then there he said, you take again food, put in a clean bowl, put water, you chant 21 times, then you take to a river and you pour into the river. Then it will benefit them.
Oke, tadi saya kelupaan ya. Yang untuk hungry ghost itu mantranya diucapkan 7 kali. Ya. Nah, sekarang untuk para spirit Brahman, para spirit resi, itu bukan Brahman manusia, bukan resi manusia, tapi memang kayak praktisi spiritual yang sudah lewat dari alam manusia gitu ya. Nah, kalau Anda ingin mempersembahkan kepada mereka, maka kurang lebih sama, tapi sekarang dibuang ke sungai dan biarkan mengalir, dan dichanting mantranya 21 kali, maka mereka bisa menerima.
So that's for Brahman and Rishis. Then the Buddha also explained in this sutra, actually there's a lot of details. The Buddha says that basically, for the people who do this offering, they can lengthen their lives.
Dan sebenarnya banyak lagi detail cara-caranya dari Sang Buddha, tapi Buddha menjelaskan kemudian manfaat dari melakukan persembahan ini adalah, jika Anda melakukan persembahan ini, maka Anda dapat memperpanjang usia.
Your health will be good, your complexion will be beautiful, all these, Basically, the karmic interdependence is, if you want to have a healthy life, long life, you offer food to others.
Jadi kesehatan Anda akan baik, kemudian kompleksitas penampakan energi Anda akan lebih baik. Sebenarnya ini adalah hukum yang saling bergantungan. Saat kita menolong orang lain, kita juga mendapat manfaatnya. Saat kita ingin kita hidup lebih sehat, lebih bahagia, kita juga berlatih untuk memberikan makanan untuk orang lain.
Because food is what support life.
Karena makananlah yang mendukung kehidupan.
Yeah, so the particular problem of hungry ghosts is they are hungry because their karma prevents them from being able to eat.
Tapi masalah dari hantu kelaparan adalah karena karma mereka membuat diri mereka meskipun lapar, tapi nggak bisa menikmati makanan, tidak bisa makan.
So in the many suttas it explained, some of the hungry ghosts, they have necks the size of needle, but stomach the size of mountains.
Ya. Karena bentukan mereka itu, beberapa sutra mengatakan leher mereka itu seperti jarum tipisnya, kecil banget, sedangkan perut mereka seperti gunung.
And some of the hungry ghosts, so there are 36 different types of hungry ghosts described in the suttas. And then another type of hungry ghost, the minute food touched their mouth, it turns into fire.
Yeah.
Like this one who came to Nanda or Ananda.
Dan ada beberapa lain, ada 36 jenis hantu kelaparan. Dan ada lagi hantu kelaparan yang lain, yang setiap kali makanan masuk ke dalam mulutnya langsung kebakaran. seperti yang datang ke Nanda atau Ananda.
Then there's another type of hungry ghosts where they are able to get some food into their mouth, down their throats. But it said that in the daytime they're able to do that, but at night, all that turn into fire and burn them from inside out.
But they can still eat in the morning.
They can eat in the morning, but at night, what they ate will turn into fire and burn.
Ya, ya.
Yeah,
Jadi
Berarti sekarang jadi apa tuh?
yeah, it's a type of hungry ghost. Yeah, heartburn.
Oh,
Related to hungry ghost karma.
ya.
If you have very bad heartburns.
Mukanya udah gerd.
Yeah.
Yang suka lemah.
Ya, jadi
Terus baru mulai gerd. Lama.
jadi ada hantu-hantu kelaparan lain yang mereka pagi bisa makan, tapi malamnya hantu jadi api yang membakar naik ke atas. Seperti orang GERD ya. Ya, dan Rinpoche mengatakan orang yang GERD itu mungkin karmanya terkait menjadi hantu kelaparan.
Or it's related to that karma.
Atau berhubungan dengan karma itu. So it's better for them to practice this.
Iya.
It has to do with anyway. And there are many details about these, and also there's one type of hungry ghosts that are called great wealth, very wealthy hungry ghosts. So they actually have a lot of wealth, but they cannot eat. And so they are always hungry,
Yeah.
but they guard a lot of wealth. So in many culture, like Chinese culture, all that, people pray to certain ghosts to get money.
Tukar-tukar.
Yeah, because, they actually have great wealth, but they are always hungry.
Ya. Jadi ada juga jenis hantu kelaparan yang sangat kaya disebut sebagai pemegang kekayaan gitu ya. Karena mereka memang beneran kaya, tapi mereka nggak bisa makan. Makanya kenapa banyak juga orang Chinese yang berdoa kepada hantu kelaparan yang jenis ini untuk mendapatkan kekayaan.
Now there's these two, the black one fat and the white one tall. Those two brothers. They are hungry ghosts. Yeah.
Ya, ada juga kan
Now
yang
very popular, like in Malaysia. I don't know, Indonesia or not.
Pahe.
Bukan malaikat kecabut.
Hey by Wu Tang.
Hai Pak Wucang. Ya,
Ya.
jadi penjaga kematian yang berpakaian putih dan hitam ya, yang lidahnya panjang, satunya hantu tinggi, kurus, yang hantu gemuk banget. Itu mereka adalah hantu kelaparan dan sangat terkenal di Malaysia.
And they have a lot of wealth.
Dan mereka punya banyak kekayaan. Jadi banyak orang berdoa ke mereka.
In the old days when I was a kid, people pray to them as the last resort. Like very desperate, very desperate, people will go to them and you have to offer opium. Like rub on the mouth. But it's last resort because also like older people, they know that you are basically borrowing from them wealth because you're very desperate. But when the time comes for death, they take you.
Ya.
So people talk about this, old people say they see these guys coming with chains and everything because then you join them in their retinue. Yeah. But only in very desperate situation you go to them.
Jangan ya. Jadi bahkan di zaman waktu Rinpoche masih kecil, orang tua zaman dulu udah tahu bahwa mereka ini adalah hantu kelaparan. Dan kalau mereka beneran sudah kepepet banget, sudah nggak ada cara lain, barulah mereka meminta kekayaan dari hantu kelaparan ini dengan menggunakan opium yang ditaruh di lidah mereka. Kalau seandainya mereka mati, nantinya mereka akan dilantai oleh dua hantu kelaparan ini menjadi pengikut.
You become part of the hungry ghost retinue, the family of.
Ya.
There are. When I was a child, there are two temples in Penang. It's actually the Chen Huang Miao, the city god temple. Yeah, and only two places. Now, everywhere people are praying to these two. People even put them little statues in the car.
Oh my God, really?
Yes. Now nobody is afraid of them. When we were kids, you know, like my grandmother, if they go to the temple, they tell us kids, you stand outside, you don't come in. Now people everywhere praying to these two in Malaysia.
In the Medan,
Uh-huh.
one friend showed me the video.
Uh-huh.
They make the birthday celebration for that gods.
Yes.
In the very big hotel.
Well, all kinds of crazy things. It shows how desperate people are now, you know.
It's how become hungry.
Yes. Now people are more wealthy than before, but more hungry than before.
Yeah.
Exactly, we have turned into hungry ghosts.
Need to be translated?
It's okay, I think understand already. Right?
Yeah, understand.
Tapi yang tadi Dr. Han bilang kan sebenarnya ciri-ciri itu kan banyak terjadi sama kita nih manusia nih.
Yes.
Ada yang itu toleransinya apa? Apa sebenarnya ghost itu sebenarnya hanya istilah aja atau memang benar ada atau karena banyak orang hidup manusia juga kan banyak
Both.
ya seperti itu.
We are also like that, and there are actually hungry ghosts. In all the sutra, it's not just symbolic. I mean, you want to believe?
Apakah kita yang mempunyai seperti ciri-ciri seperti itu sifat-sifat seperti itu apa udah tanda-tandanya mau ke sana gitu?
So either you came from there or you're going there. Hard to say. The question is like that. If observe like in our human world, those characteristics of hungry ghosts. The question from the audience here is, so what is the connection? I said, well, either you came from that world or you're on the way to that world. If you have those characteristics, you know. So anyway, this kind of offering can prevent basically going to a place like this. On the one hand, on the other hand, it is a practice of generosity. It is a practice of metta. And that's most important. Yeah, go ahead and translate this.
Lupa. Jadi latihan seperti ini baik untuk mencegah kita kemudian bisa berubah menjadi hantu kelaparan. Kenapa? Karena kita mempraktekkan kemurahan hati. Selain mempraktekkan kemurahan hati, kita mempraktekkan cinta kasih.
And it said in the sutra, you can accumulate a lot of merit. You can prevent early death. You can prevent bad health. You can promote better digestion. You know, because illness, according to traditional health understanding, comes from inability to digest and absorb nutrients.
Ya, jadi dan banyak manfaat selain kita memperpanjang usia, memperbaiki kesehatan, memperbaiki pencernaan. Karena juga dalam ilmu kedokteran yang tradisional dikatakan bahwa hampir semua masalah penyakit itu asal muasalnya adalah pencernaan yang buruk, di mana pencernaan kita tidak bisa memproses makanan dengan baik dan tidak bisa menyerap makanan dengan baik.
Like these days, you know, in a way, our problem is the opposite of the old days. These days, we have so much food, and we are dying from over calories and not under calories.
Berbeda dengan
it's a different kind of hungry ghost now.
Berbeda dengan masa lampau, di mana zaman dulu itu kan matinya karena kurang makan. Kalau sekarang kita itu punya banyak sekali jenis makanan, kita tidak kurang sama sekali, bahkan kita matinya karena kelebihan kalori. Jadi sebenarnya sekarang ini ada tipe hantu kelaparan yang berbeda.
So anyway, in this offering, now, so the original sutra gave these instructions. Over time, in the Tibetan case, it evolved into this practice of the 100 Torma offerings. In the Tibetan culture, Bhutanese culture, they do this practice of the 10 offering to the 10 groups in the morning instead of evening. Like in the Chinese tradition, because they only offer to the hungry ghost, they say you have to offer in the evening. But in the Tibetan tradition, they say you should do it in the morning, before you eat, before you drink. Some even say before you even swallow your saliva, like Muslims puasa, before you cannot even swallow your saliva, you should do this first. Then after that, you can have your breakfast. If you follow very strictly, like Tibetan, Bhutanese tradition, they will say this is when you do it.
Jadi tata cara dasarnya udah dijelaskan di sutra tadi. Tapi saat sutra ini kemudian berkembang di daerah Tibet, daerah Himalaya seperti Bhutan, maka mereka kemudian mengembangkan praktik seperti ini, di mana rata-rata kalau menurut kebiasaan orang Tibet dan Bhutan, mereka mengatakan bahwa latihan ini harus dilakukan pada pagi hari, bukan malam hari seperti pada orang Chinese. Kenapa? Karena kalau orang Chinese fokusnya hanya kepada hantu kelaparan, maka mereka melakukannya pada sore malam hari. Tapi di Tibet dan di Bhutan melakukannya pada pagi hari, dan dilakukannya bahkan sebelum kita makan, sebelum kita minum, bahkan sebelum kita menelan liur.
And the reason for that is partly so that you can, you can experience the same kind of suffering as those who cannot eat. So in fact, they say it's good if you do this when you wake up and you control yourself. Like, okay, even though I feel hungry, even though I feel thirsty, I'm not going to eat or drink first. First, I think about these 10 groups. 10 groups, 4 groups you make offerings to out of respect. 6 groups you give to out of compassion. So that's the division. 10 groups, 4 out of respect, 6 out of pity, compassion.
Kenapa kita melakukannya pagi, sebelum makan, sebelum minum, bahkan sebelum menelan air liur? Karena supaya kita juga bisa ikut merasakan penderitaan dari mereka yang nggak bisa makan, nggak bisa minum, dan kita bisa mengembangkan empati seperti itu ya. Nah, dalam latihan ini kita akan mengundang 10 kelompok. 10 kelompok dibagi menjadi 2. 4 kelompok pertama persembahan diberikan sebagai bentuk rasa hormat, dan kemudian 6 sisanya diberikan atas dasar ulas asih, kasihan kepada mereka.
The first 4 groups, the first group you offer to the 3 jewels, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, Arhat, Prateka Buddhas, all these higher beings, the enlightened beings. That's the first group.
Kelompok pertama, persembahan pertama karena rasa hormat diberikan kepada para Buddha, Bodhisattva, Arhat, Prateka Buddhas, semua makhluk-makhluk yang sudah tercerahkan.
Second group, you offer to the Dakinis, Dharmapalas, all the Dharma protectors.
Dan grup yang kedua dipersembahkan kepada para pelindung dharma, para dakini, para dakini.
That's the second group.
Itu grup kedua.
The third group you offer to the Brahmins, the Rishis, and all the Mahasiddhas, all the great practitioners.
Grup ketiga mempersembahkan kepada para resi, para Brahmans, kepada para Mahasiddha, praktisi-praktisi yang memang superior.
Fourth group, you offer to the wealth deities, Jambala, white Jambala, black Jambala, yellow Jambala, green Jambala, multicolor Jambala.
Grup yang keempat dipersembahkan kepada para dewa kekayaan seperti Jambala, seperti Jambala kuning, Jambala hijau, Jambala yang lain-lain.
Then Vaishravana, Kubera. Reason is you need to make offerings to them so that you become like them, and you have the great ability to then offer to the 6 groups that are lower.
Di persembahan yang keempat ini kita persembahkan ke dewa kekayaan. Kenapa? Karena supaya kita juga mempunyai kualitas kekayaan yang sama, supaya kita bisa menolong yang 6 di bawahnya, 6 grup di bawah.
And so the 6 groups that you give out of compassion, first group is all the gods and the guardians of this world.
Yang 6 grup yang diberikan atas dasar welas asih adalah grup yang pertama adalah para dewa penjaga dunia.
So you can even think, whatever gods whatever religion people worship, gods, goddesses, all of that, it's in the fifth group, right? 4 is the higher, now beginning of the 6, so group 5.
Jadi di grup kelima ini adalah Anda persembahkan kepada para dewa-dewa penjaga dunia. Jadi siapapun dewa sesembahan agama manapun, Anda bisa pikirkan Anda berikan persembahan di grup kelima.
The 6th group you offer to more local, the spirits in this local area,
Yang
and the
keenam,
yakshas.
yang keenam adalah para penunggu lokal di tempat kita berada dan juga pada para kaum yaksha.
Yakshas are these beings that guard the forest and the treasures of the forest.
Yaksha adalah makhluk yang menjaga kekayaan alam hutan. Ya, betul.
So that's the 6th group.
Itu adalah grup ke-6.
7th group is the spirits that cause problems.
Grup ke-7 adalah para roh jahat yang membuat masalah.
Right? For whatever reason, they don't like you.
Entah alasannya apa, mereka itu ingin mencelakai Anda.
So that's the 7th group. Yeah? 8th group is all beings of the 6 realms.
Grup ke-8 adalah 6 alam samsara. Semua makhluk di 6 alam samsara.
So you can even think, like humans, like by making this offering, may all these humans everywhere get food, get happiness,
Anda bisa memikirkan makhluk apapun di 6 alam samsara, tentu saja termasuk manusia. Anda juga bisa memikirkan semoga semua manusia dimanapun mendapatkan makanan, mendapatkan ketenangan, mendapatkan apapun yang mereka perlukan.
9th group, to all the hungry ghosts.
Dan yang ke-9 khusus buat hantu kelaparan.
10th group, your karmic creditors.
Grup ke-10 adalah para penagih hutang karma kita.
All those that you owe karmic debt.
Ya, semua orang atau makhluk yang menjadi penagih hutang karmanya kita.
Specifically because these are the beings that will stop you from achieving your goals in this life.
Biasanya makhluk penagih hutang karma ini adalah makhluk-makhluk yang membuat kita sulit banget mencapai tujuan kita di kehidupan sekarang.
No matter what you try to achieve, you cannot achieve because halfway they will come and take away because you owe them.
Ya, apapun yang Anda ingin capai di tengah perjalanan Anda mengusahakannya, kemudian itu gagal. Kenapa? Karena mereka ini menghalangi Anda. Mereka mengambilnya dari Anda.
So actually for Tibetans and Himalayan people, especially they say this 100 torma offering is especially effective in repaying karmic debt.
Jadi orang Tibet dan Himalaya biasanya mengatakan persembahan 100 torma ini bagus banget untuk membayar hutang, menyelesaikan hutang karma.
Because that is what often will prevent you from succeeding in anything you try to do.
Karena seringkali inilah yang menjadi penghalang kita dalam mencapai apapun yang kita ingin capai dalam kehidupan saat ini.
Yeah, so these are the 10 groups in this practice.
Ini 10 grup dalam latihan ini.
So each of them there are 10 offerings, so that makes 100 tormas.
Ini ada 10 per 10 kelompok, ada 10 torma, jadi 100 torma.
The practice is short.
Latihannya singkat.
Actually 20 minutes without rushing, you can finish.
20 menit itu bisa selesai tanpa Anda harus tergesa-gesa.
Also good for people who cannot meditate so easily, getting distracted easily. This practice, there's many things to do,
Jadi latihan ini juga bagus buat mereka yang nggak bisa duduk diam meditasi. Karena latihan ini melibatkan perlu banyak perintilan yang dilakukan.
But there are some details you have to pay attention to.
Mungkin Anda harus mengamati detail. I think, can you see? I think
Yeah.
mungkin Mas Maju.
Yeah, you come closer, you know. So at the beginning, when I started this, you know, at the beginning you'll forget, you know, oh, this time you need to do this. Oh, next time you forgot. It's natural, so don't worry, you know. Like you're going to forget, and I'll explain. I mean, more or less it's all the same. Yeah, you can sit down. You know, more or less it's all the same, you know. But there are some differences. Oh, at number 4, you know, group number 4, you have to do this. Group number 7, you have to do this. Group number, there's actually 11. I'll explain later. Even though we say there's 10 groups, there's also 11. Group 11, you have to do something else. So here and there are some things. Yeah?
Jadi sebenarnya gampang metodenya, tapi ada sedikit perintilan yang sedikit berbeda di grup keempat, grup ke-7, dan grup ke-11. Nah, grup ke-11 ini adalah tambahan. Tadi saya belum jelaskan bahwa sebenarnya kita memberikan persembahan ke 10 tamu plus 1 tambahan. Nanti saya jelaskan kenapa begitu. Dan kalau Anda lupa sedikit perintilan ini, nggak usah khawatir, itu wajar. Saya pun dulu begitu.
One other point, and then we'll do this. You know, one other point is you should visualize or think of yourself as Avalokiteshvara when you do this practice.
Dan satu poin penting lagi sebelum kita latihan adalah Anda harus membayangkan diri Anda menjadi Avalokiteshvara.
Because you know Avalokiteshvara is the embodiment of compassion.
Karena itu adalah perwujudan dari welas asih Sang Buddha.
Also later, not in that sutra, yeah, in some other texts, they say, you know, the ghost that came to Ananda or Nanda, the hungry ghost, they say actually he's not a hungry ghost. He's actually Avalokiteshvara. He manifests as hungry ghost to create the opportunity for Ananda to go ask the Buddha, for the Buddha to teach this to benefit others.
Yeah.
So Avalokiteshvara turned into that hungry ghost.
Dan juga dikatakan sebenarnya dalam sutra yang lain, bukan sutra yang ini, bahwa sebenarnya hantu kelaparan yang datang kepada Ananda itu sebenarnya bukan hantu kelaparan beneran, tapi sebenarnya Avalokiteshvara yang mewujud menjadi hantu kelaparan untuk memberikan kesempatan Ananda belajar dari Sang Buddha.
So like during 7 months, you know, Chinese tradition, during Hungry Ghost, there's this big paper statue, right? The Ghost King. On top is Avalokiteshvara, because Avalokiteshvara is turned into that Ghost King.
Dan makanya Anda lihat kalau dari bulan 7, bulan orang Chautu ya, biasanya ada dibuat kayak patung kertas yang raja hantu yang gede banget dan lidahnya keluar, dan di atas itu Avalokiteshvara. Karena sebenarnya Avalokiteshvara yang menjelma menjadi raja hantu.
Yeah. So anyway,
sorry.
Yes.
Should we receive actually like empowerment to do this? Because I've done research after the teaching.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yes, you know, if you have empowerment, it's good. If not, this is a very common practice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anda nggak harus menerima empowerment dulu untuk lakukan latihan ini, karena latihan ini latihan yang sangat umum dilakukan di Tibet.
Like even you do like sur offering, you also should visualize yourself as Avalokiteshvara, and there's no like, oh, you have to take an empowerment. But of course, you know, Tibetan people, you know, before they reach the age of 1, they already receive I don't know how many empowerments. But that kind of empowerment really you receive, you know, I'm not sure. So anyway, especially in Drigung tradition, we don't emphasize so much this rule, this rule, this rule, this rule, this rule. Generally, I think I said, you know, in Drigung Kagyu we said, if you have bodhicitta, that is your passport to do any practice. If you don't have bodhicitta, you can say, I got this empowerment, this empowerment, this empowerment. There's no meaning, you know. They understand.
They understand.
Yeah, they understand. Okay, so we'll do this practice. We begin as usual with the bodhicitta recitation and then refuge. Dala Dangwa Jebe Da Nopar Jebe Gek Tarba Dan Tam Je Gembe Baridu Jobra Jeba Tam Jegi Su Jebe Ma Nangka Dan Nyambe Senjen Tam Je Dewa Dang De Tunga Dan De Nidu Lana Me Pa Yan Dabra Zobe Janju Rinpo Je Topra Ja Dala Dangwa Jebe Da Nopar Jebe Gek Tarba Dan Tam Je Gembe Baridu Jobra Jeba Tam Jegi Su Jebe Ma Nangka Dan Nyambe Senjen Tam Je Dewa Dang De Tunga Dan De Nidu Lana Me Pa Yan Dabra Zobe Janju Rinpo Je Dobra Ja Dala Dangwa Jebe Da Nopar Jebe Gek Tarba Dan Tam Je Gembe Baridu Jobra Jeba Tam Jegi Su Jebe Ma Nangka Dan Nyambe Senjen Tam Je Dewa Dan Den Dunga Dan De Nidu Lana Me Pa Yan Dabra Zobe Janju Rinpo Je Dobra Ja De Je De Sama Geki Bardu Lunga Yisum Ge Wala Ko Ma Je Bardu Lunga Yisum Ge Wala Ko Du Dering Ne Sunde Ne Ma Santa Samgi Bardu Lunga Yisum Ge Wala Ko. Now, specific to this practice, when we chant the refuge, there's some special thing to do. Sangye Judan Soge Chonamla Chanchu Padu Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Kipe Sonange Drola Penje Sanje Dobra Shur Sangye Judan Soge Chonamla Chanchu Padu Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Kipe Sonange Drola Penje Sanje Dobra Shur Sangye Judan Soge Chonamla Chanchu Padu Dani Gyapsu Je Dage Jinso Gibe Sonam Gi Penche Sanje Dobra Jo Monam Kada Nyampe Senjen Tam Je Dewa Dan Dewe Gin Par Girje Dunga Dan Dunya Ji Gudan Dewa Girje Dunga Mepe Dewa Dame Dewa Girje Nering Chadani Dan Dewe Nebara Girje Monam Kada Nyampe Senjen Tam Je Dewa Dan Dewe Gudan Debra Girje Dunga Dan Dunya Ji Gudan Dewa Girje Dunga Mepe Dame Dewa Girje Nering Chadani Dan Dewe Tanyon Lan Nebara Girje Monam Kada Nyampe Senjen Tam Je Dewa Dan Gudan Debra Girje Dunga Dan Dunya Ji Gudan Dewa Girje Dunga Mepe Dewa Dame Dewa Girje Nering Chadani Dan Dewe Tanyon Lan Nebra Girje. Why you ring the tingsha?
Kenapa bunyikan tingsha?
Is to like get the attention of the guests that you're inviting. Then particularly why we use tingsha and not like, the vajra bell, It said that some of the guests you're inviting, they might be intimidated. They might be afraid if you use louder. So actually even the tingsha, don't hit too hard. Like softly. So that's
So, like this?
yeah, they have many different patterns, but basically just yeah, softly. So now is it describes the next part, yourself arising of Avalokiteshvara, but two arm, right hand with the nectar flowing from the right hand, and then left hand holding the lotus, standing. Yeah, I think understand. Don't need to translate. Yeah. So then this plate that you're going to use, now you turn over. At first, we put it down upside down, and now you turn it over. Then you pick up this pot and you put a little bit of water. Then with the spoon, you start. And this is the cleansing. Now this first cleansing is basically cleansing the whole space. Om Om Panza Amrita Kundali Hana Hana Om Pe Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Swabhava Shuddho Han Tom Pe Ngangle Pedete Rani Papa Jereze Kasarpani Sewaye Tuke Okito Nam Kyu Om Bhaja Guru Deva Dhakini Dharma Lokapala Revara Bhajra Samaja Om Bhajra Argyam Padyam Pushpedu Gende Nevede Shata Pradeja Soha. So at this point you have invited all the beings to come. Request them to sit, that's the Padmakamalaya Satam. Maybe I missed that this time. See, you still, sometimes you miss things. And then you make the 8 offerings to generally to all the guests that have arrived. Now you start group by group. And so then you start with, if you were using those Tsamba balls, then you put 10. But this you don't need to exactly count, You make sure you have more than 10. Then you use this water to bless with the Om Ahung. Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung. Nama Sarva Tathagata Ulagidam Sambara Sambara Nama Savatagata 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 Ulagidam Sambara Sambara Om Bhadra Argyam Padya Pushpe Dube Aloke Gende Nivede Shakta Pratija Soha. This is the mudra of giving. Even though the text says, you chant Nama Sarva Tathagata, and that's the mantra that the Buddha taught Ananda. And that's the mantra for multiplying. Even though the text here says 7 times, you actually chant 10 times. And I believe why you chant 10 times is to multiply the 10. So you chant 10 times. But when you chant 10 times, 7 times you're pouring water, then 8, 9, 10, you snap your finger. Yeah. And the snapping is mentioned in the sutra, the original sutra. So the last 3, you snap. One trick to remember how many times you have chanted Nama Sarva Tathagata, like to remember 10 times, is just look at your hand, First, your fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 6, 7, put down, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, put down the pot, then 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Then if you just look like this, you will not like, how many times have I chanted? 4 times, 7 times, 8 times, Yeah, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 8, 9, 10. Yeah. For the 4 upper higher beings, you make the 8 offerings each time. For the 6 lower beings, you don't make the 8 offerings. Instead, you chant the name of the 4 Buddhas to bless the food. In fact, in the sutra, it described, I think like one of the Buddhas, the first one, Prabhuta Ratna, is like abundant jewels, the name of the Buddha. Then it says like, by chanting the name of Buddha abundant jewels, an abundance of wealth and jewels will multiply for those who receive this and for those who are giving the offering. Then the second one is something like a great body. So then they say, when you chant that name to bless this food, again, those who receive the offering and those who get the offering will have strong, healthy bodies. So 4 names of Buddhas are chanted there. So now first group is offering to the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the Gurus, Idam, Dakinis, all those beings. Dharma doyon chodi sagyu ke lama sasum gyase shi choso ringe kandoi chungsun dam chenso choksun gyabgyu namla burwagi sokso rinjangso sanje to sho. So you pick up this bowl, this plate, and you pour this towards you. So this is to symbolize, after making this offering, you receive the blessings from the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. Then you need to wash this plate now before the second offering. Then this washing water, again you pour towards you. And then you put it down, then fill with some water, and put some food. Then the next group. Ahum 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 Nama sarvata tagada ulagidam samara samara nama savata 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 tagada ulagidam samara samara. Bhadra Aryam Bhadyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nevede Shabda Prateja Soha Ringe Kandre Chosun Dam Chenso Pelgun Dunchu Karjo Gyon Namgi Torma Dishe Tempa Dharvada Gyogen Shishin Tunken Pelwaranso. So this is the offering to the Dakinis, Dharmapalas, and all the protectors of Dharma practitioners. And so each of this, it says, like here it says, please clear the obstacles and increase all the good conditions. And for those of you who read Bahasa Indonesia, Dr. Yudi is translating this practice into Bahasa. So again, you pick this plate. You pick this place up now. Again, after making the offering, you receive the blessings, the benefits. Then again, wash the plate, pour towards you, put it down, fill with some water, and the next offering to the next group. The next group is to the Brahmins and the Rishis. Ahum 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 Nama sarvata tagada ulagidam samara samara nama savata 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 tagada ulagidam samara samara. Bhadra Aryam Bhadyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nevede Shabda Prateja Soha Ring Singin Jundam Sela Sopa Ngum Parashe Denso Nam Tormadi Nine Daso Donan Chanchube Monlan Tape Samjo Girwa So. Now, fourth group is to all the wealth deities, Jambala, the different Jambalas. Ahum 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 Nama sarvata tagada ulagidam samara samara nama savata tagada ulagidam samara nama savata tagada ulagidam samara 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 samara. Bhadra Aryam Bhadyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nevede Shabda Prateja Soha Namantu se mukse nor gyongso lenge larje do mere kongla dagi ne don barje shiwada sem penjom page pele soji. So this one, something slightly different that you do. You take both your ring finger, you touch this water, and you offer it to all beings, like the wealth. Then, next, you take left ring finger, one drop here, and you take yourself, the blessings of the wealth and all the abundance. Then with the kind of like the power, right, and the wealth and the richness of the Jambalas, then you can make offerings to those who need your help, which is the next 6 groups. Again, wash. Next is to the worldly gods and goddesses now. Ahum, ahum, ahum. Nama sarva tadakada ulagidam sambara sambara. Nama sarva tadakada ulagidam sambara sambara. Nama sarva tadakada ulagidam sambara. Nama sarva tadakada ulagidam sambara 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 sambara. Jum ne de shin sheba renche mala chasa. De shin sheba sukse dambala chasa lo. De shin sheba ku jamge la chasa lo. De shin sheba jipa tamche dang yong su drewe la la chasa lo. Like this last one, the name is like without fear. So Abhayankaraya, the name is related to without fear. So they say that when you bless this food with the name of this Buddha, then everyone who receives this food, when they eat it, they will become without fear. They don't have meaning no worries, no fear. Then those who make this offering also become free from worry and fear. Zambulingi shida temmeso karcho kyongwel halu dege nam dorma di shedoku pa yege lakba dakso chonam song du so. So now pick this up and pour out. And so this is also offering to the Nagas and 8 classes of gods like Gandharvas, Kumbhandas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Mahoragas. These are all the, in Chinese they call them Tianlong Babu, the gods and the dragon kings, all those beings. I say it's like the Lord of the Rings, all the different creatures. Then again, wash. Next group is to the yakshas and then the local guardians and spirits, the beings who own this land, all of that. Ahum, ahum, ahum. Nama sarva tadakada ulagidam samara samara. 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 Jum de shin sheba rinche mala jasa lo. De shin sheba sukse dambala jasa lo. De shin sheba ku jamge la jasa lo. De shin sheba jipa tamche dang yong su drewe la la jasa lo. No jin de bom mo yu kor gyong trong ma dong ne so nam thor ma she thowa no se samba rab jine chu den nam kar ge ve le so je. Specifically in this offering, among the yakshas and the local spirits, two names are mentioned, Hariti and Atavaka.
Hmm.
Hariti is called the ghost mother. In the Buddha's time, there is one ghost mother. She went around stealing people's babies to feed her babies. She has 100 ghost babies. So I think in Indian culture, they believe there is this like ghost figure who like maybe actually is more like, you know, people have miscarriage. So it's like she's stealing their babies to go feed her babies. So in this one area, they say especially this was happening. Her husband is this Atavaka. And so the husband and wife I mentioned here. So according to the story, it says that so this one area especially, she was causing a lot of trouble. So the local people come to the Buddha, and the Buddha said, I will do something. So one day the Buddha kidnapped one of her babies and put it like under his begging bowl. Put it under the bowl, you know. So then she was searching for her baby, searching. Finally, she figured out the Buddha has kidnapped her baby. So she came and she tried to take back the baby, tried to turn the bowl, cannot turn. You know, said Buddha Samadhi prevented that. So she tried to like harm the Buddha, she could not, because Vajrapani was protecting the Buddha, and she tried to harm. Then cannot harm. Then she started to cry and cry and cry, and the Buddha said, you know, so you have 100 babies, and you're missing one. See how much suffering you have. Most people only have one, and you steal them to go feed your babies. You know, like how would they feel? Then she said, but I don't have a choice, you know, because my babies have to eat. And they are too young, they can only eat babies. So Buddha said, okay, we have a deal now. I will tell my monks and nuns every day when they have their meal, at the end they will dedicate one portion of their food, changbu. Changbu. Yeah, they will dedicate this food to feed your babies. And from today onwards, you cannot do this anymore. Yeah, so that's the story with this Hariti and Atavaka. So here, the words that actually say is may you calm down your thoughts of harming beings. That's what it says here. Yeah? Then the seventh group is offered to the troublemakers, the obstructors and the evil spirits that may harm you. So again, we want to wash this plate. Ahum, ahum, ahum. Nama sarvadana gadavulaginam samara samana nama savadana 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 gadavulaginam samara samara jum nende deshin sheba renje mangla jasala deshin sheba sukse dampala jasalo deshin sheba kujamgela jasalo deshin sheba jipa tamche dang yongsu rebe la jasalo gedan londe neri tongi da daja namla nobe jumbogun torma dishe noze sempongla changchu semge dambe lamsu sho. This one is something, again, something special you do. When you're washing the plate, you pour most of the water out, leave some, and throw out on the floor. Throw out on the floor. Yeah. And this is, I think, symbolic of like, because they are beings that cause harm. So it's like out, you know, go. the 8th set is offered to now all beings of the 6 realms. Ahum 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 Nama Sarvada Dagada Ulaginam Samara Samana Nama Savada Dagada Ulaginam Samara Nama Savada Dagada Ulaginam Samara Samana 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 Nama Savada Dagada Ulaginam Samara Samara Nama Savada Dagada Ulaginam Samara Samana Nama Savada Dagada Ulaginam Samara Samana Nama Savada Dagada Ulaginam Samara Samara Jum de Shin Shepa Rinche Mala Chasa De Shin Shepa Sukse Nambala Chasa Lo De Shin Shepa Kuchapke La Chasa Lo De Shin Shepa Jipa Tamche Dang Yung Su Rawe Chasa Lo Drawari Dulam Nga Kene Shi Dupe Soche Drawa Margyu Sem Turme Sim Ne Dung Yao Kun Real De Parchin Druzo Chanchu Top Gyur Chi. The next group is specifically hungry ghosts. So during this one, some people say when you pour the water for the hungry ghost, try to make as small as possible, as thin as possible, because of their throats. Then some say you do drop, drop, drop instead of flowing, like one drop, 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 like that, you know? Yeah, instead of like before, because it's hard for them to swallow. Yeah. Nama Sarva Dadagada Ulaginam Samara Samara Nama Savadagada 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 Ulaginam Samara Samara Chumnende de Shin Shepa Rinche Mala Chasa Lo De Shin Shepa Sukse Dambala Chasa Lo De Shin Shepa Kuchamke La Chasa Lo De Shin Shepa Jipa Tamche Dang Yung Su Rawe La La Chasa Lo Yida Chinang Se Kundre Pa Jen Chindang Karto Ne Kun Torma Di Samne Ser Ne Le Di Yung Da Ne Jimbe Baro Jimba Thok Gyur Je. Then the last group, well, more or less last group, the last of the 10 groups, group 10 is to your karmic creditors, and those that you owe karmic debt. As I said, you know, most Tibetans, Himalayan people, they say particularly the 100 torma offerings is very good for settling what you owe other beings. Ahum 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 Nama Sarva Dadagada Ulaginam Samara Samana Nama Savadagada 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 Ulaginam Samara Samara 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 Nama Savadagada Ulaginam Samara Nama Savadagada Ulaginam Samara Samara Hum Jum Nene Deshin Shepa Rinche Mala Chasa Deshin Shepa Sukse Dambala Chasa Lo Deshin Shepa Kuchamke La Chasa Lo Deshin Shepa Jipa Tamche Dang Yung Su Rawe La La Chasa Lo Dacha Korwa Toma Mene Zun Date Barge Lenja Dongge Cho Torme Rekon Lenja Kundachi Dorje Tekpe Lamdu Zukyuru So now all 10 groups have been offered. But there is plus one, an extra. And this one is said in case there are any who are late, they didn't make it, to the 10 groups, because they are weak, they are too weak to come quickly. Now, you give them. And also there are some, because of their karma, they cannot receive in the main 10 groups. And they can only, their karma is such that they can only accept leftover food. They don't have good enough karma to accept fresh. So what you do actually, you pick up some of this offering from the leftover. Down the big bowl is the leftover. So you pick up some of the water and the grain.
No need 10.
No need, because you're going to add actually. So this is the leftover. So now actually, if you were using those balls, you don't use 10, you use 8. Yes. You use 8. And in the text it says this is also offering to those in the 8 directions who are late from the 8 directions. And here also, Namasarva Tathagata chanted 8 times, not 10 times. 8 times. Then again, the trick to remember for this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put this down and tak, 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 3 times. So that's 8. Nama sarva tathagata ulogidam samara samara 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 nama sarva tathagata ulogidam samara samara. Chum ne deshin shepa rinje manla jasalo, deshin shepa sukse dambala jasalo, deshin shepa kujam kela jasalo, deshin shepa jipa tamche dang yongsu drawe la la jasalo. Torma reshin lobu de la pe, keshin wangchun lama sel chula, rewa nam gyan torma di gela, somshin da pe shin du drobar sho. Wash. Now the last offering is actually not a food offering, although you still put some food. This last offering is the offering of Dharma. So here 2 verses are chanted. One is a very famous one called the dependent origination, like the Paticca Samuppada verse. And that is an offering of like a teaching about ultimate truth, which is the truth of emptiness and the truth of interdependence. Like everything that exists interdependently, exists without essence. So first you give all these beings the teaching about ultimate truth, about ultimate bodhicitta. Then the next verse is also a very famous one. Both these verses, all traditions of Buddhism accept. Not just Tibetan Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism. According to the story, this first verse, Shariputra and Moggallana, they heard this from one of the first 5 monks of the Buddha, Asaji. Asaji was going on begging one day, and either Shariputra or Moggallana saw, and was really impressed by this monk, and went and asked him, who are you? Who is your teacher? What does your teacher teach? Then Asaji said this verse, the first one, which is all phenomena originated from causes. The Tathagata taught these causes, and that which is the cessation of these causes, the great Shramana has taught. So this is a teaching about ultimate truth, ultimate bodhicitta. Then the next one is, do not commit a single evil deed, cultivate a wealth of virtue, completely tame your mind. This is a teaching of all Buddhists. Again, all traditions of Buddhism accept this. Here we say this has to do with relative bodhicitta. This has to do with, based on the understanding of interdependence and emptiness, how should we act? How should we live our lives? We should live our life according to these three principles. Do not create any negative things. Create as many positive causes as possible, and tame your mind. Then, on the special instruction in Tibetan Buddhism, Jyoti, can you plug in? I think running out of juice. It's not plugged in, I think, is it?
Is it?
Now it is. Yeah, now, oh, it's not again. Try again. Oh.
Itu wifi.
Okay, now it is.
It is.
Okay. Oh, it's gone again.
Yang sebelah situ kan.
Ini.
Nih, dengerin. Ininya. Kabelnya.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Yeah, it's good now. Don't touch. In the Tibetan tradition,
Sorry, nggak lagi.
Yeah?
Nggak bisa lagi, Jod.
it's off again. In the Tibetan tradition, yeah, it's good now. It says these three lines, right? First line, do not commit any negative karma, is the essence of Hinayana, which is guard your vows very carefully. Then second one is okay now, it's good. The second line, practice all the virtues, is the essence of Mahayana. Then completely tame your mind, completely purify your mind. That is the essence of Vajrayana. And so this is the three yanas all combined into this one single stanza. Again, as I mentioned every time, I said, when in the Tibetan tradition, when we say Hinayana, you should not think they're talking about Theravada. They're not talking about Theravada. Theravada is its own system, you know. And I think even Tibetan lamas make this misunderstanding. They say, oh, the first level is Theravada, they are the basic. No. Theravada has their own system of practice. We should not say, oh, they are Hinayana. Or sometimes they say, oh, don't call them Hinayana. Here they want to change, you know. Also wrong is if you say Theravada, we're not talking about Theravada. We're talking about Hinayana. Hinayana here means, right, focus on small. Who is small? Yourself. But you have to focus on yourself first. If you don't focus on yourself, how can you help others? It's like saying, I don't know how to swim, but I want to go save the drowning person. And you jump in, both sink, you know. So you have to start first. So then how do you start? You start by learning how not to create suffering. So the first line, commit not a single evil deed. Then, when you know how to do that, you know, then you know how to create virtue. That's the essence of the Mahayana. Then the essence of the Vajrayana is your mind has to completely change. You have to completely change your mind. So these are the two Dharma teachings now we give to the 10 groups, right? Particularly the 6 groups. You know, the 4, they know this. It's to the 6. Chonam tamje gyule jun de gyu de shin shebe sun gyula gopa kangyen pa genjun chenpo dige sun dikpa chiya meja shin gewa punsun sokpar che rangi semni yonsu de dene sanje tempa yen Vajra sato samaya mandapala Vajra sato teno pa teta teto membawa Sutokayo membawa Subokayo membawa Anurado membawa Sarva siddhi mempraya cha Sava karma sucha me Chitam shriyam guru Ha Om Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajrama me mancha Vajre bhava mahasamaya sato So Vajrasattva here, you just recite one time. Then the dedication at the end. Here it says, by the power of this vast act of generosity, may I become a self-arisen Buddha for the sake of wandering beings. And may I liberate through generosity those whom the victorious ones of the past have not liberated. So it's saying, in other words, all the beings that have not yet become free, even though so many Buddhas have come, may I free them. Yeah? And then here it says, may I become a self-arisen Buddha. What does it mean by self-arisen? This is based on older tradition that says Sammasambuddha or Samyasambuddha, complete and perfect Buddhas, in the lifetime where they achieve enlightenment, nobody taught them anything. They themselves achieve. So we call them self-arisen. It doesn't mean past lifetimes they don't have teachers, but it means in that last lifetime, they did not learn from anyone. Unlike Arhats, Savaka Buddha or Arhats, they became Arhats by relying on a teacher in that lifetime. So in the case of all the Buddha's great disciples, they rely on Buddha Shakyamuni. Pacceka Buddha also don't rely on teachers in their last lifetime. Yeah. But here is talking about Sammasambuddha. May I become a self-arisen Buddha. It's talking about. It's an old expression found in the early texts. So this verse, I think, comes from a very old text. Then the next one says, is to send them back. And may you guests who have fulfilled your individual hopes and desires go back to your own places. Then when the time comes again for you to be invited, please come again. Then you send them off. Donam sosore do yungane ranane sujela gangitse chindandu sola yang jompada da gegewe debu chibarazo ahum bajramu. So here you do especially here ahum bajramu. When you snap, they all depart. Then here the notes say, now you do some auspicious prayers, some dedication prayers, some monlam, whatever long or short that you wish to do now. Durje chanjen dile naroda maba mila choje kampo pa pamodu bagya wadrigumpa kagyola manam jita shisho sonam de yetam jeze bani tomne ne betanam pamje de keka na jivalam choba sebesole towa dowa sho. So it's not in this text, but when I do this practice, when I take this offering out, right before I take the offering out, I like to do the Manipa Mehong mantra. So especially if you take outside, and even here sink, as you pour, you think.
We just throw it to balcony.
You can, but I don't know who is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh, Manipa Mehong, someone raining. Why raining cereal from the sky? But anyway, whichever way you throw, at that time you think, really like Avalokiteshvara's nectar, flow down. Yeah. So if you recite Om Mani Padme Hum mantra.
It's better in balcony than go to the sea.
Oh, there are many creatures down in the sink there. So. Om Mani Padme Hum Mani Padme Hum Mani Padme Hum.
Bisa begitu. Udah tahu kan, Jok?
Chanju Semcho Rinpoche Ma Ke Banam Ke Gyuche Ke Banyam Pa Me Baya
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Okay, maybe turn. So I'm, those of you on Zoom, I'm in Indonesia at Degung Atisha Center.
Kue.
And oh yeah, this is the cake. But here, give you a quick tour. Some of you have already seen, but you have seen the last version, the latest version of the center. It's here it is, you know. So there is the people here with us this evening, and here, this is Joe with a 1,000 armchairs and Tara here. And this stupa is the Atisha stupa. Atisha. Dun 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 dun. 1,000 armchairs and Achi and Vajavarahi and Kyoba Jigdenzungan. Yeah, so.
Picture Buddha.
And Buddha, Amitayu, Sandy. So, just to point out, immediately you all say 1,000 arm, this 1,000 arm. This leg is slightly exposed. You notice? Yeah, this leg cloth. Up like this. That's things of tradition is the signature of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Yeah, so anyway, okay. Tata, all of you. Happy Easter. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Now we are busy. We have to eat. Okay, bye-bye.